Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Today I'm making my predictions for the first AEW pay-per-view of the year, Revolution. We'll start things off with a quick one here on 0 Hour. We'll see Big Boom AJ make his triumphant return to the ring to team up with Orange Cassidy and Mark Briscoe to take on Johnny TV and MXM Collection. And no real surprise here, I think the team of Big Boom AJ, Orange Cassidy, and Mark Briscoe will get the win. It'll be a good thing to start the card off with a happy win with the faces getting the win here. And they'll bring the boom and then we'll move on to the main card. And match number 1 is for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, where we'll see Jon Moxley putting his title on the line against the artist now known as Cope. In this match, I hear both sides of the argument that Moxley should lose the title or Moxley could keep the title. I can see Cope getting the win and Christian come and cash in his contract that he's had for months now and take the title away, and then this puts a new spin on the world title picture. But for me, I think that Jon Moxley will be retaining his AEW World Championship here, and he'll move on to take on the winner of that number 1 contenders match at Dynasty. I just believe that if Cope were to win the world title here, I don't think that alleviates the scrutiny that this world title picture has been under from most of the fans, and I think another month of Moxley being champion, moving on to the Dynasty show in April, is more likely a better way to go, and maybe we get a new Death Rider to accelerate this, and then maybe, just maybe, he'll be losing the title in Philadelphia next month. So now we'll move on to that number 1 contenders match, where we'll see Swerve Strickland take on Ricochet. For this match, with things now being equal, with Swerve stabbing Ricochet back with the scissors on Wednesday night, which then led to Ricochet getting the upper hand and getting the win in the tag match in the main event, I think that Swerve Strickland will be walking out the winner here and defeating Ricochet to become the new number 1 contender for the AEW World Championship. For me, this feels like we're going to have to speed this Moxley title reign up, and when you need to break glass in case of emergency in AEW right now, I think there's a few people that could fill that void, and I think Swerve Strickland is one of those people. And I also think if Swerve were to win and then he goes on to face Moxley at Dynasty, the same place where he won the title last year, I think there's a real chance he could be the guy to dethrone Moxley and put the end to this current iteration of the Death Riders that we're going through. And there's also so many more stories and matchups that we were teased during Swerve's first title reign that we didn't get to see. Obviously, another match with Ricochet for the World Championship could be on the books with Swerve. MJF and Swerve teased a little thing back when during Swerve's first title reign. That could happen. Hangman and Swerve can go at it again. I think if Swerve were to be world champion, him and Hangman could be one of the marquee matches in All In. It just feels like to me, Swerve being the number 1 contender and then subsequently becoming the new world champion just opens up the world title picture and brings a brand new life into the top title scene in AEW. So now on to our 4th match of the evening, and this will be for the AEW World Tag Team titles, where we'll see the Hurt Syndicate of Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin take on the Outrunners. Not a lot of insight into this match. I feel like Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin will be getting the win here, defeating the Outrunners, and they'll be living up to their chant because I think they will be hurting people here in this matchup. I think this is going to be a quick match, and I think Lashley and Benjamin are just going to demolish the Outrunners to set the standard, the new standard at the top of the tag team division in AEW. And after this demolishing of the Outrunners, I think there's a more possibility that the Hurt Syndicate will be putting the titles on the line in multi-team matchups where it's like 3 teams in there with them, and then they'll keep going through that until we start seeing one team rise above the rest to eventually dethrone the Hurt Syndicate to take those tag team titles. So now on to our next match, and that'll be for the TBS Championship, where we'll see Mercedes Moné put the TBS title on the line against Momo Watanabe. This match to me is just another Mercedes Hooper match that we'll see on the card to add to her TBS title reign, and I think she'll be retaining the TBS Championship in this match. I think it's pretty obvious to all of us that it pretty much seems almost certain that Athena is inevitably coming up to challenge Mercedes Moné for this TBS Championship. Now, there might be a Billy Starkz match before this, and I think that'll inevitably set up the TBS title match. Maybe this is the All-In match that everyone's been talking about for months, but I feel like to get to that, Mercedes obviously has to keep the title, and that's why I think she'll be winning here at Revolution. So now on to match number 6 of the evening. And this will be a steel cage match where we'll see Will Ospreay take on Kyle Fletcher. This match to me is going to be a spectacle and going to be looked at to one up their Full Gear match that was phenomenal and is still one of the best matches I've seen in person. And I also think this is going to be the capper on the Will Ospreay Don Callis family situation for now. And for that to happen, it seems pretty straightforward here. I think Will Ospreay will be getting the win, defeating Kyle Fletcher in this cage match. There seems to be some core elements of AEW, guys who are going to be heated up and be set on a collision course, more than likely for pay-per-views down the road. Feels like Will Ospreay is one of those candidates to where he's just going to go on a run here and rip through everyone to be set up for a big world title match in the future. I'm also interested to see how things will play out with Kyle Fletcher and the rest of the Don Callis family after this loss, because we've seen Fletcher just hoop it up and be one of the best wrestlers currently going. And I think with him getting the loss, it's going to be interesting to see where he gets weaved into and what the future plans will be for the Protostar after this probably epic steel cage match against Will Ospreay. So now we'll move on to our next match. And this will be for the AEW Continental Championship, where we'll see Kazuchika Okada putting the title on the line against Brody King. Now, after being a part of a very fun tag team main event, these two will now square off in singles competition. And I think it seems pretty straightforward to me that Kazuchika Okada will be retaining his Continental Championship here. This will be a decent match. There will be a knockout, drag-out fight. We'll see Brody King be able to showcase his talents here, and maybe him and Buddy will be back tagging here, depending on the severity of Buddy's injury. I think Okada's on a collision course with Kenny Omega that we have all been seeing since Omega came back and gave Okada that Continental title after winning the Continental Classic at World's End. It seems almost inevitable that these two will be clashing at the biggest show of the year, and I think Okada's going to keep a run going all the way to Texas for All In July. So now, speaking of Kenny Omega, we'll move on to our next match, and that'll be for the AEW International Championship, where we see Konosuke Takeshita take on Kenny Omega. This match, to me, has all the makings to be an instant classic. We've seen Omega and Takeshita lock horns in the past, and it was a great match. This was almost a shorts hype video at the pay-per-view. I decided on a different one because I've done these two before for their match at All Out in 2023. But as I just stated in the last match, Okada and Omega are on a collision course, and I think for this match, Kenny Omega will become the new AEW International Champion, defeating Takeshita to take the title. Kenny and Okada is one of those matches that people still talk about to this day and want to see it again. And this time in North America, in a big stadium, I think that's where we all have seen this going. And I think they're going to be on a collision course. They're set up. They're just going to be running through people, putting on good matches to where this is going to be one of the more undeniable matches that people will want to see at All In. I think there's a possibility that we get another Takeshita Omega match maybe next month to now have the 3-match little thing they have going settled. But I also want to see like how this will now affect the Don Callis family, because things just aren't looking up for them tonight with Fletcher losing and then Takeshita losing his title. Like, could this be a fracture, and how could we see changes happen to where we see new feuds set up for these two after their not great night just getting losses here in 2 matches for the whole family? And maybe we see a birth of a new tag team that will be the one to run through Don Callis family to maybe take on the Hurt Syndicate and take the tag team titles. But for tonight, I think Kenny Omega will be defeating Takeshita to become the new international champion. So now on to our co-main event of the evening. This will also be the short hype video of the pay-per-view that will be up tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern, and this will feature MJF taking on Hangman Adam Page. Now for me, this is one of the more of the matches where I could see it going either way. I could see the argument being made for why Hangman should win, and I see the argument of being why MJF should win. But for me, I see this MJF dipping into more chaos and getting more paranoid and getting more crazy, and I think that starts with Hangman Page getting the win here, defeating MJF. I could see a world where MJF loses this match and everyone's all happy Hangman won, and he's just fuming and more pissed, and he just accelerates and goes to another level and does stuff that Hangman did to other people, just takes it up a notch to goat Hangman into another match. And I think maybe we could see MJF in some kind of unsanctioned lights out match, some kind of hardcore match with Hangman down the road. And I could see where MJF's just going into this deeper and darker hole to where he's trying to prove that, hey, Hangman isn't the good guy. You see me doing all this crazy shit and I'm the bad guy? This guy did this all and then some, and you all cheered him, and now I just look like a lunatic. And I think this could add another layer to the MJF character, and I think that will all start with him losing here at Revolution on Sunday night. So now on to our main event of the evening, the Hollywood ending between Toni Storm and Mariah May for the AEW Women's World Championship. After their little promo on Wednesday night, it really has opened the door to the possibilities how this match could end. It seems like all hell's gonna break loose, and we see Mariah May in these crazy kind of matches and deliver. So I wonder how this will be different than those matches in the past now with Timeless Toni Storm. But for me, I think with Toni Storm just getting the title back, even though I could see a quick title change, I think a descent into madness for Mariah May is on the cards, and I think she'll be losing this match, and Timeless Toni Storm will be retaining the AEW Women's Championship. I just think we've seen this character being planted for Mariah to go crazy, where that promo where Tony said, "You'll be good, you won't be great, people won't really care about you as much." I think we could just see Mariah getting more and more nuts to try some new character arc to where we see a different side of Mariah May than we've seen in the past, where people are starting to ignore her maybe, and that she just has to start doing more and more crazy things and outside of the box ideas to get into feuds with people. And on the Toni Storm front, I see a lot of new feuds in this AEW women's division for her, where we see Megan Baines seemed like a fast track on to being raised up the card and maybe becoming AEW Women's World Champion here very soon. And I think a match with her and Toni Storm could be something that a lot of people would like to see, and I think that could be one of the matches set up for Toni Storm be on the horizon after she defeats Mariah May to send her into this descent into madness on Sunday night, to where we'll see the start of things being on the uptick for timeless Toni Storm and things being on the downward trend for Mariah May after the Hollywood ending here at Revolution. So that'll do it for my predictions for the 2025 edition of AEW Revolution. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, if you like this video, hit the like button. Remember to come back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern to see the short hype video for MJF vs. Hangman Page. Commanders franchise shorts, those will wrap up at the end of this month, and then we'll lead on to a new franchise starting on the 30th, where we'll have the intro video and then the clips coming out the days after that. So if any of that interests you, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that like button, and as always, thanks for watching.